Hello all and welcome to my channel Witch Ways. I'm Colette and I'm here today to talk about creating an enchanted steam pot to infuse your house with magic that will relieve stress, soothe your nervous system, and banish anything that you don't need. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so what is a steam pot? A steam pot is sometimes called a simmer pot in various witchcraft traditions, and it is used to infuse your house with the power of magical and or fragrant herbs to create change. So that can look like changing your physicality by using anti-congestive herbs when you have a cold or a flu and congestion in your lungs. It can be something that just brings a bright and fragrant smell into your house at the time of year when all the doors and windows are closed a lot. It can also be used to honor and welcome various spirits and deities, including house spirits or the spirit of your home. The reason that I use steam pots instead of just burning herbs to work with anxiety or emotional issues is because I feel that water and steam pots work more on the emotions. They work more on your intuitive channel. They work more on the nervous system as opposed to, say, burning herbs, which I feel like they're very clearing and transformative. But I feel that water is soothing and supportive. I want to say a little bit about using this kind of magic and using an anti-anxiety or stress banishing charm or steam pot. First of all, the thing that I want to tell you is it's super helpful for basic ordinary stress and anxiety, or it may even be really helpful for ongoing situational anxiety. However, if you're finding that you have a chemistry level body anxiety that is chronic and ongoing, this may or may not help. And it might be important, in addition to doing this kind of work, to talk to a healer and get an outside perspective and some support. Even though I use plants all the time in my magical work, I really like working with them when emotions or difficult situations or anxiety is involved, because often when you're in those situations, you just can't quite muster up the energy to carry out the magic that you need to do. Whereas plants have their own personalities and their own powers, and they will often carry the main weight of the spell and help make it so. Often herbs also have physical properties due to plant constituents, which is just a fancy way of saying the chemicals that are in the herbs or plant hormones. Start by choosing your pot. Ideally, it's a glass pot or a ceramic pot that is safe to put on a stovetop. However, stainless steel will work as well. Aluminum or cast iron is going to chemically interact with your herbs, and you don't want that. The next thing to do is clean your pot very thoroughly. Then, because I'm shifting it from kitchenware into magical use, I like to have a whole process around that. So what I do is take the pot or the bowl or whatever I'm using, rinse it out, dump the water out, and as I do that, I say cleanse and bless. And I might do that 3 or 4 times until I feel like it's done. And to me, this helps me shift my awareness of this object from something I use in my mundane life into a magical tool. Then I fill the pot almost up to the top with water, and then I slowly add each herb. And today I'm using a specific blend, but you can use your intuition when you're doing any kind of simmer pot for a different kind of purpose. As I place each herb in the pot, I name the herb out loud. Maybe I say something about it like beautiful rosemary, and then I tell it out loud what I'm asking it to help me do. So this helps the plant bring forth the qualities that you need it to do in this magic, because plants are so multifunctional. They do so many different things, and it's also respectful to talk to them about what you're asking from them. The other thing it does is when you speak this out loud, it helps any nearby allies, deities, helpers that you have, or house spirits that may want to participate or help you with this work get on board with the magic. I'm not particularly careful about how much herbs I put in a steam pot. Typically, I would say the minimum that I use is a spoonful or two of each herb to 2 or 3 quarts of water. The first herb that I add in is chamomile, and I like to get those in bulk herbs sections of natural food stores because I like the blossoms to be whole. They're little sun-like rayed flowers, and I really like seeing that pattern in my water. However, you might not have a bulk herbs section where you live, and so it's fine to just get bags of chamomile tea and open that bag up and pour it in the pot. If you can't find any bags of tea that just contain chamomile, you might check out online what the magical or physical properties of the other herbs are in that tea blend and see if they are supportive. The thing that you just might want to be careful of is sometimes chamomile type tea blends are often to help you sleep, and some of those things can make you kind of sleepy, so you may or may not want that. If you're very anxious, it might just take you down a notch rather than make you sleepy, and that's fine. I use chamomile in my anti-stress blends because, first of all, it's super mild and supportive. It's a nervine, which means that it supports the nervous system. It's generally recognized as safe. It's mild enough even for children. And it has those ray-like, daisy-like petals that come out from the center that call on the power of the sun, which, even if you're not a fan of the hot weather of summer, that power of the sun helps you relax, open, and expand. Sometimes just expanding instead of contracting around the thing that's stressing you out can be really helpful, and things that are associated with the power of the sun can help you do that. Lavender tends to soothe and calm the nervous system just like chamomile. However, one of the funny things about fragrant plants, and this is all fragrant plants, is that fragrance is processed in a similar part of the brain to where we hold memories. So smelling something is one of the strongest ways to bring back a memory, whether that's a positive memory or a negative energy. So if you have a negative response to the smell of a particular herb, it's probably not going to reduce your stress level. Some people find using lavender in steam pots to make them a little bit sleepy, but I don't really find that to be true, especially if I have other herbs in it as well. It also has really strong associations from Roman times with clearing, cleansing, purifying, cleaning. Lavender is even a little bit magically protective, which is really helpful when you're feeling stressed, because often when you're feeling stressed or anxious, you might be feeling a little raw and vulnerable. Lavender is just a healer for the emotions and helps hold you and soothe you. The next herb that I put in is a little bit of grated lemon peel, and I don't put in a lot because I don't want to overwhelm the smell and fragrance of the lavender and the chamomile. However, if you really like the smell of lemon, put in as much as you want. There's no reason not to do that. For some reason, ever since I was a child, I have associated lemon with the power of glamour. But I think that's maybe personal rather than something that's general throughout European witchcraft or herbal magic. I have heard that in Caribbean traditions of magic and southern United States traditions that lemon is considered a glamour herb. For me, when I feel a little bit stressed, having a little extra glamour around me is really helpful. And lemons, like most citrus fruits, tend to brighten and rejuvenate the energy around you and in the room. Lemons are associated with the sun, and you can call on the sun's power of radiance whenever you work with lemons. The fourth herb I use in my steam pot is rosemary. Rosemary is a great cleaning, clearing, and releasing plant that helps you banish or get rid of anything that you don't need. It's also really strongly protective. And I think this is really helpful when you're stressed because in general, again, you might feel more vulnerable when you're stressed or anxious and need more protection, or you might actually be more vulnerable because you're not able to sense as much of what's going on around you because you're really focused on what's happening inside you emotionally and internally in your mind. So rosemary will also help to focus and clear the mind and allow you to concentrate on what it is you need to be doing and help clear away unnecessary mental thoughts and constructs. And rosemary as a scent will also tend to overpower the other herbs in the steam pot. And if you don't want that to happen, just use a little bit less, and that's fine. The rosemary will still work. Or maybe you just use equal parts, and it's fine that rosemary is the predominant smell for you. I usually tend to just use 3 or 4 herbs in my steam pots. If you end up using more or less, that's fine. If you use 3 energetically and magically, that means that it helps the energy around you flow a little easier, which might be helpful when you're stressed. If you use 4, it helps stabilize the energy around you, and again, that might be helpful depending on what you're feeling. But in reality, I just like incorporating numerology a little bit into my formulations, especially when I'm using plants, but it's not super important. You don't need to worry about that if you want to use less herbs or more herbs. It's really more about the spirit of the plants and the connection and relationship you have with them and their ability to support you. If you're feeling like the stress and anxiety that you're experiencing may have something to do with a magical change coming up in your life, or if you're needing some support while you're standing at a magical crossroads, you might want to try adding blue vervain. Blue vervain is so good for when you've been in a process for a while, you don't know where you're going, and you're having a hard time keeping the faith that you will make it through. Blue vervain has been a real helper to me in many situations like that. Blue vervain is also a very powerful banisher, and it works to support and protect the nervous system, particularly the intuitive pathways in your body. And it's a good one to use if you've been overdoing it lately with intuitive or psychic work. If you work with numerology, 5 is the power of magical change. So adding that 5th herb of blue vervain invokes a little bit of that power if you desire that in the working that you're doing. So now once I've added each of the herbs to the pot and asked them what I want, I will stir the pot clockwise and ask the herbs kind of a general intention. Just remind them that what I'm looking for is support for my nervous system, stress relief, to banish anything that I don't need, and some protection as I go through this process. Then I let that intention go from my mind into the pot by just breathing it out and imagining that breath going into the pot of herbs, or feeling that energy go into my hands and then releasing that into the pot, and then just pulling my hands away from that intention, just like you're pulling your hands out of a pair of gloves, and then let it do its work. Then I put the pot on the stove at high heat until it just starts to simmer and steam. And then I turn it all the way down so it's not even simmering at all, just gently steaming a little bit. And then you can let the steam go for just a few minutes or all day if you want, as long as you keep checking the pot to make sure that you haven't steamed out all the water. You'd be surprised how quickly that can happen. I have let my pots go dry or almost dry many times, so be careful and don't leave it on the stove if you're not there. Most steams I find work pretty well for a day or two. You can keep it continuously steaming, or I turn it off at night and then put it back on the stove. I only keep it on overnight if I have something like a crock pot I can put it in or something like that. And some herbs are more fragile than others, so they might not last as long. Some blends that are real robust, I've used as long as 3 or 4 days, and they've still worked really well. Once you are done and all the fragrance and magical vitality is gone from the plants, you can return the herbs to the earth, spread the water out, and thank the plants for the work. Then just clear your pot the same way you cleared it when you started and return your pot to normal use. I would really appreciate it if you hit the like and subscribe button, maybe even the notification bell. Since this is my birthday month, I'm also wishing for a few more subscribers on Patreon. I have great content there of monthly downloads, quarterly downloads, a monthly spell, and a plant of the month, and many other benefits. Some of those benefits starting at $5 a month. So if you feel called, check it out. It's a great thing and has a lot of great information. And until next time, stay safe and be well.